Dear student, GCSEs is here again and it's in few days time. And I know most students would be anxious by now. It's very normal to feel anxious. It's very normal to feel under stress. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about don't let the paper win. So we're going to look at ways that you can manage your anxiety and some of the things you can do to relieve stress before your exams. The first thing is about the nights before the exams. These are the different moods of students. A night before the exams, which one are you? Are you the student who stays all night trying to revise? Or are you the student who is going to sleep through the night? Or are you the student who is going to eat throughout the night? Or are you the mate who is going to play game throughout the night? Or are you the student who is going to play or stream online throughout the night? Or are you the student who is going to do social media all the night? What are some of the things you need to do few days to your exams? This is the exams vibe check. So before the exams, I believe that every student is at least is in the range of one of these mood. So 0 for the ice cube, you haven't opened your notes, where is the stress? 1 is the Zen master, the timetable is ready, I've covered the basics, chilling. And then the third one, we have the low simmer, revision has started, but wait, should I be more worried? And then we have the fourth one, the spicy brain. So much to remember. Words are blending, you are starting to blend. And we have the overheat. That is when you feel like the revision is overwhelming, you keep revising, you feel you've done it, but you're still scared. And then the fifth one, we have the system meltdown. That is when you feel like you can't do anything. Nobody can tell you anything. Nobody can convince you can do it. It's very normal. Now, after feeling or being in this mood, the most important thing is, what are you going to do to get yourself up? What are you going to do to motivate yourself to get ready for the exams? Be honest. Who here feels anxious before the exams? If you feel anxious, let me see your hand. I always feel anxious whenever I have exams coming up. It's very normal. It means you care, right? So now it's valid to feel anxious. I think, every human being feels anxious when they got exams coming up. All right. So what makes you feel anxious? That's the most important thing. And this only applies to students who have learned. If you haven't learned, well, we still got a few days. Try and catch up on some few things. But if you have exams coming up, you need to prepare for the exams. So what makes you feel anxious? Think about it. I know so many things. You don't know what's coming. You probably have written it twice, 3 times. You still didn't pass. And so, you feel nothing is going to change this time around. It's also very normal. Now, I think that most students fail in their exams not because they don't know it, but because they feel anxious before the exams. And when they feel anxious, they're not able to manage the anxiety. And that causes them to fail in exams. I've had it a lot of times. You can have a student who is really good in class, but it doesn't reflect in the exams. So that means that exams doesn't really measure how intelligent you are. The most important thing to get through with your exams is how are you able to manage that stress? If you're feeling anxious, what do you do? What stresses you most about exams? You should have the answers yourself. If you haven't learned, then it means, it's not too late. It's not too late. Start learning now. It could be so many things. You didn't sleep the night before. It could be you're hungry in the exams room, so you're not able to focus or concentrate. So there may be a lot of reasons, or there are so many factors that causes anxiousness or stress during exams. And I believe you know it. You know what stress or what you find stressing about exams. And then again, it's very normal. This is how the brain works. Before your exams, you should understand that if your brain is stressed out, this is what's going to happen. So we have a brain that is stressed. You see the fire flames coming out from the brain. And so anytime you're under stress, you can't think or you can't focus. So always keep that in mind. If you're already stressed at this time, when it's not even the exams? And mind you, how can you tell me you're making a common paper stress you to the point that you're already feeling stressed just because of a common paper? So know that you are bigger than the paper. Know that you're smarter than the paper. After all, it's just a paper. And then understand that, even if you don't get the grade you want, it's not the end of the world. It doesn't mean you're going to lose your life, or, your name is going to get changed, or, you're going to change. It's normal for that to happen. Now, this is the point we want to get to, the relaxation mode. How do you relax your mind or your brain before the exam? What do you do to relax the brain? A little stress helps you to focus. So if you are stressed a little, it helps you to focus, but too much of it blocks the memory, or it blocks the mind. That is why sometimes, and I think everyone has been in that situation before. I have been in. When I was in uni, there was a time that I learned very well. I knew I've learned, but before getting into the exam room, I was already stressed. And guess what happened? I sat there for a whole 1 hour and I couldn't remember anything. Not because I couldn't do it, but because I was anxious and I couldn't control myself. I couldn't control the anxiousness. And so everything just went over my head and I couldn't remember anything, I've learned. So and I believe that everyone might have experienced that before. And so it's really important you know how to manage it. How do you overcome exams anxiety or stress? There are 7 things I'm going to talk about, and this is the most important part. I need you to listen carefully, and if possible, if you can make notes, make notes. So in the exams room, I'm going to give you the top tip. In the exams room, while you're seated in the exam room, if you feel you are anxious, you're seated, you are anxious, you got people in the room, use what we call the 4-4-4. So the 4-4-4 means that as you're writing the exams, you feel anxious, just relax. Give yourself time. Give yourself some break, some rest break, even if it's 2 minutes. Now, the 4-4-4 means breathe in 4 times. Now, I want you to do it as I'm doing it. So you're going to breathe in, 4 seconds, hold it for 4 seconds, and then you breathe out. Right? So breathe in, let's try that. Breathe out. Repeat that 4 times. That doesn't make sense. So try this. This is a way to, calm yourself in the exams if you're already feeling stressed. But always remember the 4-4-4. You breathe in 4 times, you breathe out 4 times, you repeat that 4 times. So right now, try that. Try that now that you're seated. Try it. Breathe in 4 times. Do it. Let's do it. Breathe out 4 times, and then repeat that 4 times. Then tell me how you feel. Speak to your friend. Ask your friend. Ask your friend how they're feeling after doing that. It calms you down. Right. And I will start from, why do I have to sleep proper or have a proper sleep before your exams? It's very important. And this is one of the key things. A night or a day before your exams, that is not the time for you to revise. Right? Yeah, it's good for you to revise, obviously, a day before your exam, but do not spend the night revising, because the exams is in the morning and your brain needs some rest to reset. And so try to get at least 7 to 8 hours sleep a night before your exams. So don't be that student. No, don't stay up all night. Don't stay on your laptop trying to learn, trying to get, because what is going to happen is you stress the brain a lot. And so once the brain is stressed, the next morning, you can't really function. The brain cannot really function, right? So make sure, even your mobile phone, can you tell me that you can use your mobile phone for 9 hours without the mobile phone going on low battery? Yeah, it will go on low. That is how the brain works. So see the brain as the mobile phone. The more you use it, the more the battery decreases. So don't stress the brain. The night before, what am I saying? Have a proper sleep. 8 to 9 hours, 7 hours should be good. All right. Now, the question is, with your previous exams, how many hours did you sleep before your exams and what happened? So it means that This time around, you're gonna have to do something different. You can't keep doing the same thing to get a different result. If you want a different result, why not try something different to see if it gives you a different result? How many of you eat before your exams? The very morning that you got the exams, how many of you eat and what do you eat? So what you eat is really important, and eating is also important. Once you wake up from bed, make sure you get yourself some breakfast. So how many of you skip breakfast before exams? A lot of you. Let me see your hand if you do skip breakfast. All right, and what happens when you're writing a long exams without eating? At some point, you're gonna feel hungry. And once you go hungry, you can't focus. The brain cannot take it anymore. And what food can you eat before your exams? Now watch it. These are the type of food you can eat the morning before your exams. Oatmeal and berries. Or you can just go on Google and search, what food or what meal can I eat before my exams? Eggs is also one good thing. Eggs are made of protein, or it's got a lot of protein, so you need that. And then another thing is Greek yogurt and honey. So if you want, you can have Greek yogurt and honey. And then we have banana and peanut butter. So that is also something you can. And make sure aside all that, you drink enough water, right? Make sure you have enough water for that. So now, 2 things that we've learned. Having a proper sleep, 7 to 8 hours sleep, and also having a breakfast, eating something before your exams. The third one is arrive to the exams hall on time. Now you see that everything is in order. It means that without a good sleep, you can't wake up early to have breakfast. And if you don't have breakfast, obviously you didn't wake up early, you couldn't have breakfast, it means you are getting into the exams hall late. And so if you skip one of these, it means that it would affect the next thing you do. So make sure you arrive in the exams hall, early. And early can be 1 hour before the exams or 1 hour 30 minutes before the exams, just to make sure you have enough time to calm yourself before the actual exam. Do not be in a rush to write the exams. Obviously, if you are late to the exams, you're gonna rush, and once you rush, you can't really think, right? And then the next one is relax before your exams. Make sure you have some, relaxing time before your exams. If you come in early, so many ways you can relax. You can talk to friends, and don't speak to friends about the exams. Do not go to your friend, I've had it. I remember when I was in secondary school, I would come to school that day of the exams, and then I start asking my friends, have you learned fractions? Can you do percentages? How do we work out this? Once you do that, your brain gets distorted. Now you start panicking more, or now you start getting scared more. So don't come in having that conversation. Just, talk about random stuff. Talk about football if you like football. Talk about, anything you want to talk about, but not the exams, right? If you like music, if you enjoy music, I enjoy music, you can have your headset, listen to some cool music or your favorite music before the exams, right? Couple of minutes before the exams. It also helps. It calms you down before you get into the exams room. The next one, stack. It happens to everyone, or it's happened to everyone. In the exams, you can get stuck on a question. Do not spend much time when you get stuck. Move on. But if you move on, you don't just move on. You need to come back to it. Does it make sense? How many of you get stuck on a question, move on, and you don't get back, or you don't come back to that question? A lot of you do that, isn't it? So make sure this time around, don't spend too much on a question you get stuck on, but when you move on, try coming back to it to see if you can do something, right? You can do something. And then the next one, I call that RTW, and my friend called that right to work. It's not right to work. It means that in the exams room, and this is very important, especially for maths and English, I've seen a lot of times students do this. They see a question, they don't read it, they assume what the question is asking for. Don't be one of them. All right, when you see a question, this is the first, and don't skip any of that. Read the question first. Many students don't read the question. They just see a question and assume what the question is asking for. Because maybe they saw a word in that they know, so they think obviously the question is asking for that. No, don't be in a rush. A whole 2 hour, 15 minutes is enough for you to do enough work and for you to, prove what you know. So don't be in a rush. Read every question at least 2 times, 2 to 3 times. And when you're done reading or after reading the question, don't start writing. Think about it. Does it make sense? So think about it before you start writing. So read the question carefully. What is the important information? So after you read, underline the important information from the question. After you read, you underline the important bit from the question. And then the next bit is, what is it asking me to find? What is the question asking? That is when you think. Because now you've read it, you understand it, you're thinking. And now I can write my answer step by step. And I repeat, step by step. Now, one of the things you need to know is, whoever that is going to mark your exams doesn't know you. The person could be in Wales, or the person could be somewhere in Manchester. They don't know you. So if you don't show your working, I wouldn't assume that, oh, I know this guy and he knows it, so I'm going to give the marks. No. Does it make sense? So make sure whatever you're doing, even if you do it in your head, put it down. Is it not better to write it down to get 1 mark than to keep it in your head and not get anything? Because obviously, if I'm marking your script and I see you're not showing the working, I'm not going to call you, or I don't think any examiner is going to chase after you to ask what is in your head. What were you thinking? Let me mark what is in your head and then let me continue with what's on paper. No. So make sure you put every workings on the paper. Does it make sense? So remember that. Write to work. Read 2 times or 3 times. Underline the key point. Think, right? You think before you write it. All right. The 7th one is about the 4-4-4. I'm going to talk about it one more time. Stay calm, right? In the exams, understand. Now, think about this. I know in the exams room we have invigilators or we have people, staff or teachers around. But the question is this not the same teachers you have them during lessons? These are the same stuff you see every time. So why feel scared? Why being scared? What's the point? Because in the exam, you sit with your friends. So why are you scared? You're going to have to train the brain that, well, nothing can happen. It's not like you're in a war zone. It's not like, you're going to have bomb being thrown around, so you need to, be scared for your life. It's just an exam. Doesn't make sense. And so learn to calm yourself down. And calming yourself down is when this, so use this in your exams when you feel stressed or when you go blank. Stay calm. Breathe in. How many seconds? 4 seconds. So let's try it. Breathe in 4 seconds. Hold it for 4 seconds, right? And then breathe out for 4 seconds. And repeat that 4 times. It takes about a minute or 2 to do that. Just stay calm, do that, and see how you feel. Let's do a quick activity here. Let's do a quick activity. You can do this with your friend, right? So if you are stuck on a question for 2 minutes, what should you do? You move on. But when you move on, what happens? You need to come back to it later to try it. Now, I read a question once and I don't understand it. What should I do? If you read a question once, you don't understand it, what do? You read it again. Underline the key points from the question, and then what? You don't start writing, you think before you write. Does it make sense? And we have the 3rd one. I start panicking in the exams. What do? You're panicking. What do? Stay calm. 4-4-4. Yeah? So use the 4-4-4. Breathe in 4 times. Hold it 4 seconds. And then breathe out 4 times. Do it a couple of times. Maximum 4 times. And then you're going to stay calm. I don't know how to start the question. What should I do? You don't know how to start the question? What do? you always have to start, right? Obviously, if you don't start, you wouldn't end. So always, and don't think, one thing I want you to know is there is a question for everyone. Does it make sense? So it doesn't mean that you can't tell me that out of 120 marks on each paper, you can't do any. There's definitely a question for you. And so there is no reason for you to feel scared, because you're going to find your question in there and you can do something. And one thing, at least I forgot about that. Most of you judge yourself even before the exams. Most of you tell yourself, I'm going to fail. Even before you see the questions, even before the exams. And so you know what's going to happen? Once you tell yourself you're going to fail, the brain picks it up, and then in the exams room, the brain will try to prove that you can't do it. And that's what happens. And who has ever experienced this? In the exams room, you see a question, you go blank, you can't do it. But the moment you get out from the exams room, you realize that you start remembering how to do it. Oh, I could have done that question. But what happened in the exams? It's because before the exams, you've already told your brain you're going to fail. And so once the brain knows you are going to fail in the exams room, it's going to prove that you can't do it. It's going to prove that, no, I'm a failure, so I'm going to fail. Does it make sense? So start being positive. Tell yourself you can do it. If you see a question, don't panic. It's just a question. Try it. Take your time, read it, think it, start writing. And then, I've been on question 1 for too long. What do? You've been on one question for too long. Move on. But if you move on, come back to it. I think my answer looks wrong. What should I do? There is nothing like a wrong answer, right? In fact, I would say that it's better to write down a wrong answer than to leave a question blank. Does it make sense? So if the answer is wrong, still write it. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, the examiner is going to mark. You're not going to mark yourself. The exam, well, you never know. Maybe you might get 1 mark for doing something rather than leaving a question blank. So don't leave a question blank. It's very silly to leave a question blank when you could write down something to at least get a mark. Now remember, you don't need 4 marks to get a pass. You need enough working or enough to pass. So try and do enough work. You don't need all the 4 marks. You need enough work to pass. I want to skip a question straight away. What should I do? Don't skip a question straight away. There's no question bigger than you. Just think. Read it 2-3 times. Think about it. You're taking too long to answer that. Move on. And then I finished early. What should I do? So there is nothing like finish early for me. If you feel you finished early, take time. Go through your answers again. This is very important. You finished early. Don't be in a rush to get out. Go through. Now, think about it. If you don't get a pass and you're still in college, you're going to have to spend another whole year doing GCSE again. So would you rather want to use 2 hours, 50 minutes to get a pass so you don't have to do maths again? Or would you want to rush through the exams and do the whole thing again and sit the 2 hour, 50 minutes again? Just think about it. Why not take the time to prove yourself that, well, I can prove I can do it. Let me do it now. Let me have my maths period for next year free, so you can do whatever you want to do. And I feel like I'm going to fail. What should I do? There's nothing like you're going to fail. You can't determine if you're going to fail. The examiner tell based on what you write. So examiners don't mark to fail you. They are there to credit what you do. Does it make sense? So understand that examiners are not there to fail you. They are only there to mark what you do, to give you credits. And so if you haven't done enough work, it means you don't need the marks. So make sure you do enough so that if we're crediting, we can, examiners can credit you more marks. All right. So that is going to be that. I hope this helps, and I'm wishing you all the best in your GCSEs, and stay cool. Easy.